The Friday Rugby Preview with Stuart Cameron.
Hello and welcome to the Friday Rugby Preview. Today I'm joined by Dale Clancy, and we'll start with a brief recap of last weekend, and on the whole, not a bad set of results. In the Premiership, Hawick beat Mar in the top of the table clash more comfortably than the 21-15 scoreline suggests. Selkirk left it late to beat Glasgow Hawks at home, while Kelso left it even later to beat Heriots Blues at Golden Acre by a single point. But still no joy for Jed Forest, who went down at home to Curry. In National 1, another couple of wins for Gallat and Melrose in Glasgow against GHA and GHK respectively, while in National 2 there was a win for Peebles at Gordonians, but Berwick lost at Inverleith against Stumel. No East League games last week as they had a break, but they'll be in action again tomorrow. So Dale, Hawick dominated the game as far as possession and territory is concerned, but uncharacteristic handling errors left them with a winning margin which gave Mar a losing bonus point. But most important of all, it was a win to extend their lead at the top of the table, and they stopped Mar from scoring any tries. Magnificent defence.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. The defence has won that game. It's obviously given Mar an opportunity to try and snatch the victory, but again, Hawick have just been able to show that they've got multiple tools in their locker, and they're able to exploit opposition either out wide in the counter attack, in the set piece, and they're a strong squad. So obviously defensively really, really strong at the weekend, but got enough to get over the line. And that Matty Douglas will be disappointed that they weren't able to execute a little bit more on the field and make the margin of victory a little bit more. But he'll be happy that they had enough in their locker just to brush Mar aside.
Kelso delighted with their last gasp win, of course. They go up to 30 points now, I think, in the table. And Selkirk came from behind at the death to get 4 valuable points. That stretches their lead over Jed Forest by 17 points now at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, Kelso's victory, I think it was, it was an interesting game. Obviously, Kelso coming up from National 1 and competing in the Premiership, they've done really well to amass the amount of points that they do have. But also the connection there from Neil Hinnigan, going back, he spent a bit of time at Heriots and knows that club really well. So chuff for him in terms of going back up to Golden Acre and getting a victory and going back with his hometown club. Proud as punch that they were able to get over the line in dramatic fashion. So really good victory for them on the road.
Well, let's look at this weekend. It's Derby Day in the Premiership. Let's start with the crucial bottom-of-the-table match at Riverside Park, Jed Forest versus Selkirk. A Jed 5-point win has to be the target for them without giving Selkirk anything, and no one knows this more than Jed coach David Grieve.
We have to win this week, and just winning's not good enough. I think we've got to go chasing bonus points, so we maybe have to take a few risks, but that's our aim this week, is to win as well as we can with a bonus point, hopefully. It's an uphill task now, but we've just got to keep trying, we've got to keep playing. We just have to stay positive, and the points are there to be played for. Musselburgh last year, everybody wrote a name off, they kind of produced a miracle, and to be fair, we kind of need a miracle as well. So nobody's given up. Training's actually been not too bad past few weeks. Numbers wise, it's been good. I give a lot of the senior players a bit of credit. They've kind of stepped up, they've took a bit more responsibility, and it's getting there. It's a little bit positive, so that's one good thing for us now. We need everyone in the town that plays rugby to come down and help us out. I don't know the reasons. Everyone's got a reason, but we just need more help down here. We need more players, better training sessions, because they're not going to affect. If you get more people down, better atmosphere, and we just need that at the moment. Everyone's got to kind of pull together. We've got to try and put at least 60 minutes together, and I think we'll be on with a shout. I think I have to give all the boys a lot of credit. A lot of them, they've got various reasons why they can't train. A lot of them have got young families and moving house and new jobs. But every time we need them, they come out and play for us. And we can't criticise their boys. We'd be lost without them. This week, we just have to attack them. We've got no choice. We have to go out there and attack them. It doesn't matter what the conditions are. We just have to play positive rugby. We kind of talk about we're only performing for a half. If we feel if we perform 50 minutes, 60 minutes and build it up, we'll win games, but it's kind of easier said than done because every team's kind of in their stride, and I still feel we're trying to find our stride at the moment. You look at Jamie Ferguson, for example. He went from hooker to back row. He played at centre at one point against Selkirk, and now he's playing loose head prop. He's doing really well there. And you look at Hamish Stenhouse, he's only 18. He's kind of came into the back row and he's looked all right. And obviously kind of Mark Glenn, like he's kind of been a standout for us. If we want to stay up, and we've got no other choice, it's got to start on Saturday.
David Grieve, and let's hear from Selkirk head coach Sesh Henderson.
The Glasgow Hawks game was a big game for us at home. I was delighted that we stayed in the fight. Really pleasing on some of the solid defensive sets we had, and one in particular with 20 phases that we defended really well. I think that was a momentum change in one of them, because then we just had one opportunity and we only got one opportunity and we scored from it this near the end of the game. So it was a massive 5 points for us. We'll take a lot of belief from that victory. And we'll need it again against Jed on Saturday. It's another big league game for us. Border battle as well. So, what the type of these games will bring. But we've just got to concentrate on what we in our performance, and no get too enrolled in the border battle type stuff. But I know it's difficult to say, but we just need to think about our performance, our attack, and our defence. And hopefully we do enough to get over the line again this week, and then. If we do that, then that puts us back into the pack again, which that's where we want to be. What we're competing in the pack above us, week in, week out. It gives us real momentum. But again, easy to say. We just need to go out on Saturday and put a massive, accurate physical performance in, and hopefully the scoreline goes our way.
Well, time running out for Jed Forest, no doubt about it, but if Selkirk win this, they could be over 20 points clear with only 30 points left on the table, and that would mean Jed would need to get wins in all their matches, while Selkirk would only need a couple of wins to make them mathematically safe. So, win or bust.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, I'm not going to spend a lot of time dwelling on the situation that Jed are in, because I don't take any pleasure in seeing them at the foot of the table yet to get a victory. The players that they've got on the field are trying really hard. They've got a lot of young talent in there, as obviously Greavy's mentioning there, in terms of Mark Glenn. I think it's been a revelation. Young Ferguson as well, being able to kind of learn a lot in a year. This will be a big learning curve for a lot of these players, and sometimes, you have to get relegated as a club to find your level again and build. And it might be the case for Jed Forest this season, but that's not a negative. That's not the worst thing that's going to happen. It means it gives them a chance to press the reset button, but it might not happen. And if it's not going to happen, it means that they need to pick up those 5 points this weekend. Selkirk, the weekend before, last gasp victory against a team above them in the league, so they're going into this with a little bit of confidence. It's at Riverside Park, and that means I think it is going to be one of those really turgid games. But Jed Forest need to throw caution to the wind. And I think when they get the opportunity to play with freedom, that's when Jed Forest are dangerous. I think in terms of the interest at the bottom of the table, I think Jed Forest, it would be nice to see them pick up a victory, but rugby's not a nice game sometimes, and it just means that it's going to be competitive on the field. And Selkirk again, you hear there from Sesh wanting to make sure that they're in the middle pack. They've got objectives, and they'll be wanting to try and execute them on the field on Saturday.
The other derby sees Kelso at home to Hawick. It was 61-7 at Mansfield Park, and according to Director of Rugby at Kelso, Neil Hinnigan, there are a few players down this week too. We'll get the thoughts of Hawick head coach Matty Douglas in a moment, but let's first hear from Neil Hinnigan.
This weekend we welcome Scottish champions Hawick to Pointer Park. It'll be a really big challenge for the boys. Obviously at Mansfield earlier in the season we were on the end of a heavy defeat, and obviously that stung a little bit. Trying to make amends for that. Hawick will be coming down with their usual confidence, and their league form speaks for itself. I think that's 9 on the bounce they've went, or something along those lines. So they're a formidable outfit, there's no doubt about it. A very physical team, well drilled, so we're going to have to be at our very, very, very best to get something from the game. Last weekend we had a good result away at Heriots, finally got our first away win. One we deserved through character. The boys probably didn't play their best first half performance, and we made a lot of sort of individual errors at times and a few bad decisions, and it just didn't really come together for us. But we were actually defending pretty well. Our discipline was good, but it took us till the last sort of 20-25 minutes to really get a hold of the game, and once we got into it in a big way, we just kept going, and in the end we managed to steal it at the death. And Heriots probably played as good a game as they've played for a little while, and they maybe deserved a win as well. So it was that tight. That's 2 games against Heriots, and only 1 point over the 2 games has separated us. So it's been a good tussle with them home and away. So that's built a bit of confidence now. But this week, looking at Hawick, we have quite a lot of unavailability, and obviously Bruce McNeil's still struggling as well, so could be a bit of a reshuffle, but we'll see what happens. Try and get the best team we can on the park.
They're a extremely tough side to beat at Poinder, and look, I think we're not taking this lightly. I've got a lot of respect for Bruce and Kev, and Eki Hinnigan for what they've done at the club, and I think they've got a group of players there that are playing for the jersey, so look, we're under no illusion and what they'll bring. Big solid pack, they've got an exciting back line, and we're going to have to be ready for it. If we want to come away with any sort of points, we're going to have to be at our best and back up last week's home performance, which we can if we get our part right and we bring the sort of game structure and a bit of game plan that I know we can execute. Then look, we're a hard team to beat, but we're going to have to do the basics first. We're going to have to win the contact area, we're going to have to win the set piece, we're going to have to win the gain line, and it's one that I'm excited for this weekend. Hoyk's not played at Poinder since 2015. I remember playing in a Scottish Cup quarter final there, and I'm not sure if we've played there since. So tough place, but look, for us, we've got another strong squad to pick from this week. No real injuries from last Saturday, so we're looking forward to it, and look, we'll give it our best crack to overcome a tough Kelso side at Poinder.
Well, based on what Neil's just told us, despite the fact it's at Poinder Park, key players missing, that's not going to help them.
It's not going to help them. I think it's going to be a difficult game. We know Hoyk have a lot in their arsenal. They're able to kind of exploit teams from pretty much any area of the park. They've got a really good kicking game. They've got good counter-attackers. They've got a great set piece. Defensively, they're strong. So where do you win? Where do you try and beat them? Where do you target? And that's going to be the job for the coaching staff at Poinder Park this weekend, to get that message across to the Kelso players. And I think that they're a different team to that game earlier on in the season. They were given a real shot across their bows there, because they kind of were given an absolute tanking. They were put to the sword by a really inspired Hoyk team that day. They're different, and I think even changing the personnel, the standards and the levels have been introduced at Poinder Park, and no matter who comes into the squad, they'll go into this weekend knowing what's going to be asked of them, and they're at home, and it's a border derby, and Hoyk are travelling across, and it's going to be one of those great occasions again at Poinder Park, which we've seen a few already this season.
Well, our commentary match will be Jed Forrest against Selkirk, with you and Robin Purdy, while David Ferguson will be taking care of business at Poinder Park for us. We'll be on air at 1:30 covering the 2 o'clock matches before we bring you full commentary of the 3 o'clock kick-off game at Riverside Park. We'll also be hearing interviews from tonight's Hoyk 150th club dinner in the early part of the programme. Stuart McFarlane and I will be down there this evening, and it should be quite an occasion. In National 1 though, Gala are at home to GHK with a revenge mission. GHK won in Glasgow earlier in the season. Should be a home win for Gala nevertheless, and we'll see if Maroons Director of Rugby Ewan Swinton shares that view.
GHK deservedly beat us through in Glasgow. We were beaten in the scrum, we were beaten in the loose, we were beaten to an awful lot of things. Now we're going to take that to heart and really challenge them this weekend. They've had their tough times recently, and we certainly intend to ensure that run continues. The Gala squad is strengthening, so many people are coming through and staking their claim when they get a chance, and I think the coaches can fairly claim to being in a position to actually pick a team specifically for the opposition that we're going to play against. So we'll go after them. We'll play the game that's been emerging from the team, strong in the forwards, really determined, really bloody minded for want of a better term, physically challenging the opposition and running the ball wide at every opportunity. So it should be good to watch. I hope that we get a good crowd along on Saturday. Very confident that we can give GHK a solid, hard game, respectful of an opponent that's previously beaten us, but very upbeat about what we have to come in the rest of the season. I can't see any reason why we can't beat any team in our league, and even when it comes to the Border League, I don't think we need to fear anyone. We are really progressing. We're progressing well. We're becoming confident. We will never be cocky. We haven't earned that right. Real good feel-good factor. Adding to the feel-good factor at the club, we actually have some additions to the squad coming along in the next few weeks, which is tremendous news from all of our points of view. We had Craig Keddy at training on Tuesday night for the first time. Craig was the captain of the Boroughmuir Bears in the recent Super 6 series. and it will be great to have him available for selection in the weeks ahead. It will be entirely down to the coaches and him when he joins the fray. Added to that, we're also expecting the arrival fairly imminently of an 18-year-old scrum half from New Zealand who is coming in through the SIU Academy system and has been allocated to Gala. I don't have a name for you for him yet, but he will be a welcome addition to our squad, and hopefully he'll start to earn some game time in the weeks after his arrival.
So on paper it's going to be a Gala win all day long there, and that will keep their good winning run going. And great to see Craig Keddy going back to the club as well, and also as Ewan mentions, a Kiwi scrum half coming soon, 18-year-old from New Zealand.
Yeah, I think, in terms of the balance of that, it's great to get some of those Super Series players back to their home clubs in some format. I don't wholly agree with it, but on the Craig Keddy side of things, I think he's been a great player for Boroughmuir Bears. He comes back with a lot of experience to his hometown club. He can still play at the top level in terms of, in the Super Series, and he's been playing really well for Boroughmuir Bears. So, to come back to Gallo, be able to ply his trade and bring a lot of experience as well to pass on to this young squad. So it'll be a welcomed return for Craig Keddy, and they'll be hoping as well this young scrum half is something to look out for to help get that, that back line ticking. You think this weekend as well against GHK, it's going to be a challenging game because they're desperate for a win. So, it might not be a classic at Netherdale, but the expansive wide pitch and the return and the introduction of some players will give Gala a little bit of a spring in their step. So
Gala looking to make it 4 on the trot. Melrose also looking to make it 4 on the trot at the Green Yards tomorrow. They'll be taking on Biggar, who they beat 36-0 at Hartry Mill earlier in the season. Head coach is Ian Chisholm.
This weekend, Biggar are coming to the Green Yards, and look, it won't be the same team that played there in the year. Look, I understand they'll be angry about the result that we put on them up at Hartry Mill, and they'll probably be looking for a bit of revenge. But again, we're purring. We're feeling good, and there are a lot of changes to the squad this week, just with availability. We've got a few injuries that are we're trying to get out of the medical room. And while Saturday wasn't the complete performance, we were able to play some really positive rugby, despite the ball only being in play. I think it was just over 25 minutes, and this weekend it's quite unique for us now because we've got some selection issues to consider. We're only allowed to name 3 players in our matchday squad who've been named in a Super 6 squad in the last season, and 5 doesn't go into 3, so there are boys that need to rotate out the squad and into the second 15 this weekend, which doesn't really make sense, but look, that's how it is. Kieran Clark was the player that missed out last week, so he'll come into the squad, and then from there it's just about making a decision based on who and what is best for the team and is best for this particular game. But look, we're excited about the challenge. We're excited to be back at home. And look, we had a pretty heavy night on Tuesday, and we'll strip it right back on Thursday. But the boys are feeling really good and feeling really confident. And while we are missing a few regulars, both the captain and vice captain, Struan Hutchison and Angus Runciman, are missing this weekend. We've got boys that are more than capable of stepping up, especially young boys who, they're only 18, 19, 20 years old, but they've got belief in what we're trying to do. They've bought in, they work really hard. So look, we're excited to see these guys get in the park and put themselves about and even try and keep these boys out of the squad when they do come back.
Yeah, obviously they've won 3 on the bounce. They'll be looking for 4, and this weekend is obviously a challenging game yet again for them. Biggar are starting to hit a little bit of form in the league. We did say that there was going to be a win coming, and they've backed up. They've got a couple of wins on the bounce, and then put in a reasonably good performance against the runaway league leaders there. So certainly will be another difficult game for Melrose. They'll be hoping that they can take their performance from Hartry Mill into this weekend, home advantage, and they can get another one.
National 2 and Peebles following up from a good win at Gordonians last Saturday. They're back at home against Stuart's Melville tomorrow. Head coach is Graham Patterson.
Kenny Clyde and Rowan McKeever are away back offshore for their jobs, so we'll be missing them, but we'll be replacing them with players coming back. Murdo Anderson, the club captain, is hopefully back. Hopefully he's passed and ready to go back into that squad as well. Potential other couple of boys coming into it is young Colt and Cal McRobert, and also Scotty Lawson, who's back as well. So a few boys to come back in, which will be good to to replace those boys that are not, and Willie Aitken will be back as well, which will add a tremendous amount of experience and scrumming prowess to our front row options, which are pretty good at the moment. But touch wood, we don't have to go down too far into the resources to replace those, which we haven't so far this season. So we're looking forward to expanding our game and developing our game. The backs are certainly, by their own admission, didn't get the widest of channels exploited on Saturday, so we might look to do that again this Saturday, try and move that ball to the edge a bit more. But the age-old core functions of scrum, line-out, phase play will come back into it for the forwards, and producing that platform that we look to exert pressure on. The good thing we've got is now we've got a pretty solid kicking game, which will stand us in good stead when we're playing against Stewmill on Saturday, and hopefully we can maintain our good form.
Graham Patterson, Peebles in second place now, and Falkirk and Lasswade have slipped up recently. One to watch though is Newton Stuart. After losing their first 2 games, they're on a bit of a roll, 7 straight wins.
Yeah, they've been on a really good run of form, after a kind of difficult start to the season. Obviously they were defeated against Falkirk, which then Falkirk kind of took the mantle of favourites in this division, and now it's probably difficult to put that badge on any of them, because they're all starting to slip up now and again. People's maybe starting to steady that ship after that defeat against Lasswade at home, so it's another big weekend in this division. But from a People's point of view, they'll be hoping that they can make home advantage count and sweep aside Stuart's Melville, a team that they will be expected to defeat.
Also in National 2, Berwick didn't take their chances last week when they were in the red zone against Stuart's Melville at Inverleith. Aidan Rosie dropped the ball a couple of times over the line, which didn't help their cause, but they're at home to Stirling County, who got a good win last week, and they really must start winning. Here's forwards coach at Berwick, Paul Pringle.
Looking forward to this Saturday. Real key game for us, probably more so than even last week with Stirling County at home. In terms of team news, Jordan Patterson unfortunately sustained a knee injury last week, which looks like it's going to keep him out for a couple of weeks. Jordan's been great for us this season, the real cornerstone of the scrum. So that is a bad break for us. So hopefully it'll not be too long. We do have guys like Jason Garwood and Stu Gilchrist who can come in there and they'll do a good job. We don't have James Thompson available this week, so we'll be making some changes in the backs. But by and large, we're approaching this game the same way as we have every other week. We like to play the brand of rugby that we do. We'll go into this really just wanting to, up our work rate, keep the intensity, move Stirling round the paddock, and we've got a big lunch on before the game. So we have 80 plus sponsors there, so it'd be fantastic if the lads can put on a bit of a show for them and they can be there to witness the first win of the season, all being well.
Paul Pringle, well, Berwick, just the one draw and 6 bonus points to show so far from a season.
Yeah, and I think they need to probably start making their home form count if they want to stay in this division, and this is a great game to do that against a Stirling County side who have had a kind of up and down season so far, especially away from home. They've not been able to pick up a lot of victories on the road, so it's going to be an opportunity for Berwick, you would say. This does bring a great opportunity for this Berwick side to pick up a victory, their first victory of the season, and it might be the victory to take them off the foot of the table. And it's the position that you don't want to be in. You don't want to be at the foot of the table, with chasing down and hoping to get that victory, because that's what it's going to take to get them off the bottom. It's not going to be accumulating bonus points and things like that. It's finding victories now for this home side. So yeah, it starts with Stirling County this weekend, and they'll be hoping to get that victory against them.
Well, after a week's break, the East League is back in action tomorrow. Langham welcome Forrester to Milltown in East Division 1. A mixed season for Langham so far, kind of finding their feet in East League 1 after promotion.
Yeah, I think you're going to go through that. You can't expect to just blaze a trail through all the divisions and start to rise the ranks. You find your level, and I think Langham have certainly have kind of almost fallen foul of that this season. They've had some really positive results, but on the back of that they've had a couple of really scary results in there as well. So at home form, they'll get the chance again to try and pick up another victory this weekend in East 1. In
East 2, Hoyt Lindeen are getting to do a very rare thing tomorrow. They're going to be playing at home against Duns. Here's Lindeen's Gary Alexander, who'll explain.
We're looking forward to this Saturday's game against Duns. Really happy that we're back at home. First home match since we played the Quins a few weeks ago, which was our only home match out of 7 league games. We had to play away 6 out of 7, which was a remarkable kind of scheduling. So, but we've gotten through that, and we're happy that Duns will be the first of 4 consecutive home games for us. We travelled down there in September, came away with a 25-22 win, which we had to grind out. I think if we were honest to ourselves, we went down there thinking it'd be a lot easier than it was, based on Duns' results up until that point. But we got there in the end. I'm sure they'll be up for another tough fixture this Saturday. Hopefully, with the week off last week, some of our injuries will have picked up, get some boys back. I think the last couple of games were at Livingston and Dalkeith, and we went down in the end to 50-point defeats, which I think was a kind of consequence having weakened teams short on the bench, and then when injuries kick in both cases the game has run away for us, and as I say, we hope to get boys back, be a bit stronger.
Gary Alexander. Also in East 2, Hoyt Quins travel to Livingston. Let's hear what Quins' Adam Hall has to say.
Yeah, we're looking forward to getting back to it this week against Livingston. After a week off last week, we had a positive result 2 weeks ago. I would say away at Pennycook we had a really threadbare squad carrying a lot of injuries, and it was always going to be a tough ask against the league leaders, but to rally in the second half and get a bonus point away at Pennycook, it lifted the boys, and we're hoping we can take that into this week against Livingston. Another away trip that we know is not going to be easy. Similar scenario, it's always tough to get a decent team together for the away trips in this league, but we're confident we'll get a decent side together and hopefully a good enough team there to go and get the same result as we got at home against this lot and extend the gap between us and the teams below us.
Adam Hall, well, we've seen mixed results from Livingston this season, smashed by Duns, but a lot better form at home, and of course they beat Lindeen comfortably as well.
Home form in these divisions sometimes counts for a lot because players have other commitments. They perhaps can't travel as well as some of the players at the top, higher up the pyramid, if you know what I mean. It's sometimes quite difficult to get the commitment, and that is sometimes the trouble at these leagues. But it means that it's going to be a big task for Quins to pick up a victory at Livingston. They'll be hoping that Livingston show some of the form that perhaps they exhibited in the game against Duns. But again, it's a cracker in the other one with Lindeen taking on Duns as well. So that'll be an interesting game in East 2.
And finally then to East League 3. 2 weeks ago, a big surprise, unbeaten Earlston losing to Lismore. They'd only previously had 1 win. They're back at the Hawk tomorrow though to face Inverleith. Here's head coach Cammy Hill.
With no league fixture last weekend, we arranged a friendly down at Duns. That was always going to be a good challenge with them being an East 2 side. After the previous week's result against Lismore, we just need a game to get that result on our mind and just try and focus on getting back to the league this weekend. We've taken a big squad down. We had 5 or 6 regulars missing just through injury and just giving lads a rest. But we also had 5 new lads stepping up. And at one point we had 4 18-year-olds on the pitch, which was really great to see. A couple of lads from Melrose and obviously some young guys coming through for Earlston. So it was really good to see them pulling on the jersey. Although the result didn't go our way, going down 17 points to 12. Overall, I was really pleased with the performance. The lads went out and done exactly what I asked them, and it's really good to see that they're starting to believe we can compete with these 2 sides, as we've shown against Duns and Hoyt Lindeen, obviously on Friday night and in pre-season. We now start to focus on the league as we entertain Inverleith this weekend, who we beat early in the season pretty convincingly, but by no means are we thinking this is going to be an easy fixture. We possibly got a bit complacent going into the Lismore game, and we've seen how that ended up. So I'm really hoping we can come away with the 5 points, because anything less is going to be a struggle chasing Trinity down in the league. So we really need these 5 points to keep challenging for the league. Squad wise, we're pretty much back to full strength, which is really pleasing. So I'm hoping for a really good performance this week from the squad. Obviously it's come to business end of the season, so we really need to start switching in now and getting results.
Well, there's no game for Gala YM tomorrow, but we're live on Rugby Radio from 1:30 tomorrow, coming to you from Riverside Park. Full commentary of Jed Forest against Selkirk. We'll have television highlights of that game on Sunday on Borders Rugby Television, and also Kelso versus Hoyt for you. And don't forget to check out our new Scottish Club Rugby podcast, episode 12, now available, taking a comprehensive look at the club scene in Scotland. You can listen to that via YouTube or wherever you download your podcasts from. There's the new website at rugbyradio.co.uk, and of course our main site for everything to do with Borders Rugby at bordersrugby.net. Do check it all out, and we'll see you on Rugby Radio tomorrow at 1:30. But for now, from Dale and me, bye-bye.